Valli, founding member of Anisha. So in 2015, we hosted, I think that's the first human force. Around 11 members participated and they stayed for 14 days.
My name is Frederica, and we've hosted the Human Force Camp in Kalimantan in conjunction with Permaculture Kalimantan Foundation.
I'm Joanna Doxson. I'm on the board of directors for the Atalanta project in Crestone, Colorado in the USA. And we had a camp in 2019, July of 2019. There were several of us board members who participated in the camp, both in the activities on the land. So Atalanta is a land-based project started by Subud members. It's eco, agro, and cultural education. The second one that we did was just this year in October, and it was much shorter, again, because of COVID. And I think we had about 20 participants, and the youngest one was about 9 months old. The oldest one was in his 80s, and we had everything in between.
After meeting with them and going over the way that they run their program, incorporating in local issues and culture, and educating volunteers as to what the importance is of your project, both locally and globally. That's when we decided it was a good connection.
Had 3 issues to cover. Like one, see, in the local schools, in the surrounding schools, they teach only local language, and also the medium was Kannada. So most of the students were finding difficult about English. English means they'll run away. So I thought at least if the volunteers take like few hours of classes and teach them how to go about it, that will be very useful for the high school students, like grade from 8th, 9th, 10th grade.
Well, there's a bit of a personal story with our family about the Human Force Camp. So prior to us moving to Kalimantan and studying permaculture Kalimantan, my husband volunteered on the Human Force Camp in 2012 at the Anisha project in India. And it impacted a lot on his journey and our journey.
We thought like the human force, like if they come, like some of the issues which we could not address, maybe human force volunteers can address those issues. See, when we work regularly with the farmers, certain things like we feel, okay, this is not important. But when the outsider comes, no, so they can identify, okay, identify the differences. And also like, we want to know whether we are going in the right direction. But when the outsiders comes, they look into different angle of what we are doing.
The Human Force Camp, it's about human connection and connecting with others from around the world, and also locally learning something new from the host country and the host project. So what's very special about it is, I suppose, the human connection and the interactions that can occur between people. So people come from different backgrounds, different places around the world, even some locally, and they all come together for a good cause. And it's just very, very rewarding. It's like going a lot deeper than tourism could ever, or volunteerism. There's a human touch, I suppose, because of the facilitators, what they bring to that, the program that they bring with that, helping people to sort of go a lot deeper into what's happening around them, what they're seeing, what they're doing. People can reflect on that.
I feel that Human Force Camp is exactly that. It brings in the importance of talking about humanity, about relationships, about relationships with other humans, other cultures, and relationships with the environment.
They taught the photography training for the women. So that was very useful because the women never touched the camera at all. And they never thought even they can take a good photos by themselves. So that training was given. And most important one, like 2 issues. Anisha didn't have the website. So only the human force, they designed and created the website for Anisha. And also the documentary film, the first documentary film was done by the human force. So these are the 2 issues was very useful for Anisha. And also like one student, Jayadi, was a permaculture student. He taught us the permaculture method. So still we are following it, and also we are implementing in the schools, and even for the students we teach permaculture method. So this was very useful for Anish, and still we are continuing it. The website is continuing, the documentary film we used, and the permaculture method. Still we remember this was done by so-and-so person.
Something very special that's given, that the project or the camp is given, is the interaction, bridging the gap between maybe visitors to where we are and locals. So where we are, we will always try and sponsor youth or local people to be part of the camp. That's what we've done every time, in conjunction with the international participants. And the connections that have occurred are very, very deep and very special, and have a lasting imprint on those that are part of it.
I think one of the unique aspects of human force that we recognize and that was very beneficial is that their approach to volunteerism is that everyone comes with an open mind and an open heart as to what is the most appropriate way to be of service, not to come in and volunteer with their ego and the way they think they should, the way the volunteer thinks they should be working for a community. I think one of the issues of volunteerism is that often people come in wanting to fix something, and human force truly comes in with the approach of being of service from a deeper and more appropriate place.
You can look on 2 different levels to that question. For sure, in both instances, there were benefits, short and long term, in the actual physical work done. Long-term benefits are, I don't know how to put it, but the enrichment of our goals, the being able to do workshops in accordance with our vision.
Well, it's a short camp. So like I said, coming back to it, I suppose it's those relationships which are the long-term impacts, where people still keep connection now, camp participants. So bridging boundaries, bridging social, economic statuses, and building a human community amongst participants. We visited Indigenous village for the other camps that we came, and they did a special Dayat welcome to country ceremony for our community. And the community was so excited to have our group come. They cooked lunch for them, and they the whole group danced around the tiny wooden house of the kitchen. And even to this day, like, those communities remember that.
My name is Maya. I'm Solen's daughter, Solen Lee's. I've been at the Human Force Camp in Mexico in 2014, and the one in 2016 in Kalimantan in Indonesia.
My name is Kim Joseph, and I volunteered for Human Force. It was in Indonesia, a program in Indonesia in the area outside of Jakarta called Cipanas. And I'm trying to remember what year it was. I want to say like maybe 2011.
My name's Felix. I'm from Lewes in the south of England, and I did the Human Force in Kalimantan in 2016, so it's 5 years ago. And I did it just after finishing school, so I was 18 years old.
Je m'appelle Camilla, je suis à Montréal, donc j'habite à Montréal et j'ai participé au Human Force qui a eu en 2014 au Mexique, donc tout juste avant le congrès Subud.
Bueno, yo soy Alejandra Rangel Oliveros, estuve en México en 2013.
I'm Colin Vallance and I live in Devon, which is in the southwest of England, and I volunteered for the camp 5 years ago in Rungansari and Palankaraya.
À cette époque-là, je me souviens, je voulais beaucoup m'impliquer. J'ai cherché un projet dans lequel je pouvais m'impliquer sur la scène internationale, en fait, avec un objectif soit environnemental ou social. Et donc, j'ai appris que Human Force allait avoir lieu au Mexique avant le congrès. Donc, je me suis dit, c'est parfait, c'est l'opportunité parfaite que j'ai cherchée parce qu'il y a tout l'aspect Subud, mais également l'aspect d'implication, de bénévolat que je cherchais à l'époque. Donc, c'est vraiment ça qui m'a donné envie de m'impliquer puis d'y participer.
I wanted to join it just to get a sort of broader perspective of life around the globe, because I knew it would be a sort of international group of people in a continent and country I've never been to. At the time, I'd never left Europe. So it was a big sort of culture shock, but in a good way. And I wanted that, and I wanted to sort of see what the life was like and the sort of reality of just a totally different culture.
I've always been interested in travel, and I never really had the chance to do anything like a gap year or a period of time when I was young to be able to volunteer for something like Human Force. And being a member of the Subud organization for many years, I'd heard of various projects that had gone on over the years. And in fact, I was lucky enough about 10 or 11 years to visit the Anisha project in India. And so I'd always had an interest in those sort of projects. And then this opportunity came up. And so I said I would do it. And I'm really, really pleased that I did.
Why did I want to volunteer? It's quite personal, actually. During that time in my life, I had just divorced and I really needed to leave. Like, I just needed to be free. Bought a one-way ticket, actually, because I felt that I would be there for a long time. And this is, just coming from the inner feeling and, surrender. Time to go and do something, to feed the soul.
So it's a volunteering experience where you go to usually sometimes a different country, and you would do a permaculture garden or paint a wall for kids in a school or a nursery or something like that.
It's a humanitarian project, I guess, looking to help and educate the people participating in it, but also, if possible, to help people in the local area in a non-invasive or presumptuous way. So not thinking, oh, let me help you. It's more, what can we learn from each other in terms of from being in different cultures, different languages, and what can we do to move forwards in a sort of sustainable and progressive way?
Pienso que es una experiencia que que de alguna manera te cambia la vida y te abre el mundo. Y eso me parece maravilloso, porque te permite descubrir, o sea, el mundo propio y externo, porque te permite descubrirte a ti en otras dimensiones, en otros territorios, con otras personas, y en esa dimensión me parece hermoso, ¿sí? Conocer como nuevas habilidades tuyas, de qué eres capaz, de qué límites tienes, qué debes aprender, qué debes fortalecer, pero también es una experiencia maravillosa para poder conocer otras culturas y enriquecerte de ellas y asimismo presentarles la tuya con mucho respeto, pero también es como un aprendizaje en doble vía, como que ellos te dejan una semillita y tú también le dejas algo a ese país y en este caso a la población beneficiaria del voluntariado.
You know, one way you can help someone is to give them money, but a better way to help someone is to help them learn how to grow their own food, for example. So part of the work we did in Chapanas was working on the organic farm.
Y súper libre. Me sentí como quizás una ciudadana del mundo. Tenía la posibilidad de abrirme camino en diferentes países para poder tener experiencias tanto en voluntariados como en trabajos en organizaciones internacionales. Y eso como joven es un plus gigante porque te permite creer en ti.
There's something about the feeling of being inspired that gives you this sense of calm and peaceness, but within that sort of like the foundation of that calm and peaceness is this fire that sort of really, it sort of rejuvenates you in a way, you know, like you feel this sense of that, you know, anything's possible and that, you know, yeah, just this, yeah, I guess this calm and peacefulness and just the sense of drive. I think that's what it was. I really felt this drive and motivation.
I felt really, really happy and really, really touched by the people that we'd met, and I particularly was very, very touched indeed by the way that the group of primarily much younger people than me. I mean, Frederica's younger than me, Selene is younger than me, that they just made me feel really welcome and not at all different or, you know, this old man sort of thing or anything like that. They were just really, they took me for what I am and my personality, and I did the same. And I think we were a really nice group of people and we got on really well, and we all enjoyed it. And I'm sure that came across in the way that the project went, and hopefully part of that memory, as you've said, is that people remember that we were happy and we were really pleased to be there.
I remember for the Indonesian one, we left on, I think it was New Year's Day, and we were on the plane and we were just crying and crying. We were just like, oh, I don't want to leave.
Ça a eu beaucoup d'impact, je dirais, au niveau pratique. À Québec, ben, en fait, ici à Montréal puis à Québec, on valorise beaucoup l'implication, le bénévolat. Donc, ça m'a permis d'avoir accès à d'autres opportunités parce que j'avais un peu l'expérience dans l'implication. J'avais participé à ces projets-là, donc ça m'a ouvert des portes par la suite pour d'autres implications puis d'autres projets. Mais aussi, ça a eu une influence aussi au niveau de mon choix de carrière. J'ai par la suite, mais je me suis inscrite à l'université en études internationales parce que je voulais justement travailler dans une organisation qui puisse avoir un impact au niveau communautaire, au niveau social ou peu importe, mais c'était mon objectif, même si mon choix de carrière a changé un peu par la suite, mais à la base, c'était ça.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I feel like I'm more environmentally aware, and yeah, I think more about sustainability and about my way of consumption, and try not to, especially like on my course fashion, where it's the second, I think, the most polluting things. Do you know what I mean? It's the most polluting, and from what I took from that I should like be more sustainable and maybe try and make a change in the fashion industry, even if people do it, but yeah, just being more friendly and being more open about like cultures and languages and yeah, that kind of thing.
I've been doing a lot of reflecting in that sense of, how the Human Force Camp was really this turning point in my life where it planted that seed of sort of being extremely passionate about like development work, but in a sense that it's more human-centered and it's not this sort of experience where it's solely just your own, where only you yourself as the volunteer is benefiting from the experience. It sort of rippled out further even more.
We had someone who was not even in Subud, who just came to do the Human Force Camp, and he was so lovely. And he was in a basketball team, and so he took like loads of basketball t-shirts and balls and the cuff thingies, and he just bought loads to give to like the kids in the school. And I remember like at the end we just before leaving, like we just got one of the basketballs and we just all wrote our names, and like I still have the ball to this day. It's like the basketball with like the names of everyone who participated, and it was, yeah, it was so nice.
When we were going to the communities, we were doing the road trip and being in Jayadi's car and just hearing him, explain to us, sort of the issues that are happening in the region, and to be able to witness it with your own eyes, the reality of how devastating the palm oil industry is. And just, there was something quite profound about, just the distance of devastation that was occurring just for us to even get to the villages as well.
I do vividly remember having conversations with some of the Indonesian young people who were on the project with us, just about their life and their culture, and things like, attitudes to marriage and attitudes to employment and attitudes to women and men and role in society, and how vastly different it is in Indonesia to England, and the goods and the bads on both sides. And we had some very deep and personal and quite private conversations, which of course I wouldn't repeat, but that came from knowing people very well and being able to share in that way.